Good morning and welcome to Viewpoint, the program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. And boy, do we have a personality and a perspective to bring you this morning. And in fact, we're going to be so full, we're going to disregard kudos, although there are plenty of them out there. Mrs. Busby, let's get right down to business. Why don't you introduce our nice guest this morning?
Well, you be glad you came to be with us this morning, because we're all going to
quiet out there. Sit down and have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and pay close attention.
Well, it's a little early maybe for but at any rate, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, we are here with Ms. Andrea Meister, and we have for you a program that I think you'll be darn glad you got to hear. I'm going to be glad. This is really neat. You're coming here to talk about this. You know, in my misspent youth, we never would have talked about this because it was naughty. Yeah, only the naughty people did this. So now we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about high-class gardening.
Absolutely.
And we have it right here in Lincoln. We have our own plant. We have a cannabis plant, and I understand they grow about the finest product in Illinois.
Well, I might be biased, but we sure think so, and we try really hard to. So.
And how many people work there at the gardening plant?
So in Lincoln specifically, we currently have 283 people in seat.
That's a bunch.
Yes.
That's a real
big
bunch.
employer for this community. I mean, seriously,
Absolutely.
That's a lot of people for this community, and thank God you're here.
How many shifts do you run?
So currently we run 2 shifts.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and has that been pretty constant throughout your tenure?
It's been pretty consistent. Honestly, with the size of our facility and what we need to get done every day, we've actually just in the past few months, we've been building out our second shift. First shift, we have a lot of employees in the building. It gets really full, so that's really where our capacity is to open up that second shift and build that out.
Good for you. Well, they employ how many? Roughly here in Lincoln.
Yeah, currently we have 283 people.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but we're budgeted this year, so potentially by the end of the year we might have upwards of 312 people.
Is that right?
Yes.
You know, that does mean something to this community. That's a lot of people from here in central Illinois that have jobs. And would you consider them on a scale of 1 to 10 a pretty decent pay scale place?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're well above the minimum wage, and really across the network, for the jobs that we have, it's hard to really just put a number to it because we have a wide range of entry-level jobs, all the way to senior directors, VPs within the network. But our comp and benefits team is constantly making sure that we are competitive with other manufacturers in the area and other cannabis companies in the market.
And people work an 8-hour shift, right?
Yes, yep. We do have a couple of shifts that normally are like logistics drivers and stuff with long transfers and deliveries to dispensaries. We do have a few 10-hour shifts available depending on what department you're in.
Can you refresh my memory on what year it was that Illinois changed its approach to the cannabis industry entirely?
Well, I guess if you're talking about when adult use became, when it became legal.
Right.
So January 1st of 2020. So it really hasn't been that long. Before then, we were a medical use state only. So as of January 2020, you and I, even without a medical card, can just walk into a dispensary off the street and we can purchase cannabis products.
Isn't that the berries?
I think it's great. I'm a fan.
Well, I bet.
I'd like to distill this down to one thing. Well, there are so many things. But Cresco could really be called, and am I correct in this assumption, farming under one roof? The modus operandi is growing your plants out there, and they're all under roof. So actually, we're a small farming industry out there at Cresco Labs.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what we're doing. It's indoor agriculture.
Marijuana is your corn and beans.
Well, we have a cash crop. So
Yes, you do.
yeah, so actually, Lincoln, our facility in Lincoln specifically, is unique because it's considered a hybrid facility. So half of our growing is done in an indoor environment, what we call indoor. So, we're synthetically, we have lights that are creating, like the sun, we are regulating the room temperature, we are watering those plants. The other half of our grow is greenhouses. So that's what's really unique about Lincoln. Not a lot of places are hybridized where they have half greenhouse, half indoor.
Oh, well, now, do you have greenhouses here too in Lincoln?
Yes, yep. It's actually, the whole facility it's all connected, but we have different phases of the building. So we talk about it in phases because it's how it was built. So we have the legacy side of our building, phase 3, which is all of our new greenhouse expansion, phase 4, which is all of our manufacturing lab, our processing, our drying rooms, and then phase 5, which is our indoor cultivation rooms.
The plants themselves, are they a delicate type of plant that you have to be very careful of the humidity and on and on and on?
So for us, yes. I mean, it truly is an art. Our cultivators, our senior director of cultivation, Shane Hutto, that I was telling you about, so he is, it's a science, and he'll tell you, he is great with crop steering. So are our managers, Paul and Shay. It really is an art to learn about this plant and to bring it all the way from clone through the vegetative state and then into the flowering phase. So I think it really depends on who you talk to. Plants really are resilient, but at the scale and level and quality and consistency that we are growing them indoors, it can be very finicky. And just like certain plants in your garden, there are going to be some that are tougher to grow than others.
Yeah.
So we have some strains that I swear they could grow in the dark. You could leave them in a room and neglect them and they do just great. And there's other ones that need your undivided attention.
But now, if you're going to turn out a really high quality, high price product,
Yes.
that would take the kind of plant that probably takes more nurturing and is more expensive to bring to fruition.
Oh, no, absolutely. And believe me, we have some, like I said, Shane will probably be the first to tell you, we have some really finicky strains, and he knows exactly which those ones are. Sure. But no, we take the time to make sure that all of them, every single plant, every strain, every room, we are monitoring them daily. We have several sensors in every room. They're all on a program. We're constantly monitoring the heat, the humidity, the lighting, fans, everything, all the way down to a T.
Now, may I ask, your original products start with a seed?
So for us, for production, that's not necessarily true. So
Okay.
Day to day, because we want the most consistent product to the market, we actually take clones. It also gives us a jump on the growing process, so we can have more turns per year, more harvest per year,
So you have 3
more
or 4
revenue.
or 6-inch plants.
Exactly. Yep. So we keep our clones under 6 inches. Per the Department of Ag, any cutting or plant over 6 inches is considered a fully grown plant. So when they're in the clone stage, we try to keep them below that 6 inches. Once they're rooted and are over 6 inches, they're considered an individual plant and have to be individually tagged and tracked through the entire building. So when we consider from seed to sale, Illinois' program is BioTrack. That is the system that tracks our plants all the way through. But yeah, that's...
Now, for the benefit of our listeners, this isn't something like corn or soybeans where you plant it in the ground. You have growing trays that maybe are waist high or something like that. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah. So the growing media that we have, and we've changed throughout the years, we're really happy with what we have now, but it is a growing media that when we cut those clones, we're sticking them in that media. Once they root, we're putting them into a larger block of rock wool. And rock wool it was actually founded in the construction industry as like an insulation early on.
My dad was in the lumber business, and I recognize that word.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
but how interesting. Now, you have to have certain media to grow it in.
There's a variety of different medias that you can use. probably early on in the industry before it was really mature, and we got more of the science side of it, and people that were probably growing it in their basements or in a different state where it was legal, they were bringing all of this amazing knowledge to the industry. So from that, we've been able to really develop an approach that really works for us, and that's probably for more than just Cresco. I'm assuming that's the entire cannabis industry as a whole. So we currently use Rockwell, and it works great for us. So that's the media that we use, and it's in that media as a clone plug. It gets put into like a larger block, and then onto a 6-inch block, and it lives its life. We call them pots basically, but it's just a square slab of media that gets moved from our veg room to our flower rooms, and it grows in there its entire life, and it sits on a rolling bench that rolls from side to side within our rooms, so that our growers can get down those aisleways, they can prune the plants, they can take care of them.
Is it a tough product to grow as opposed to quarter beans?
I think that's in the eye of the beholder. It's probably who you talk to. If you talk to a farmer outside, I'm sure they might say that theirs is the toughest, but it's different than outside. Outside it's putting it out there and really hoping for the best, hoping that the weather cooperates. Inside, it really is up to our garden managers, our director of cultivation, our engineers to make sure that this plant has the environment that it needs through its whole life. So that's why we constantly have to monitor it for quality and consistency.
Is it a delicate type of plant that you have to be very, very careful, or does that have to do with your final product being of a certain quality?
Like I said, I think that it depends on who you talk about. Like for it being a delicate plant, it does have, it's certain triggers, I guess I would say. So every plant that we have in the facility, they're female plants. So we don't want male plants in that building because they can pollinate the room and then we get seeds. We don't want seeds. We want a clean product without seeds to give to our customers. So all of our plants are female, and they have a strict lighting cycle. So once we hit flowering time and they get moved in that flowering room, we give them 12 hours of light and 12 hours of dark. So that's going to induce that plant into flowering and actually starting to grow the fruit, the flowers, the product that we want to harvest. So if that lighting cycle is interrupted at all, it can stress that plant, and it can actually hermaphrodite and get seeds or male like pollen sacs, and that can hurt the quality of our product.
Getting pretty sophisticated now.
Sorry, I'm probably getting too deep into the weeds, pun intended.
648-5510. 648-5510. Our guest this morning, Andrea Meister. She's a facility director at Cresco Labs, which, if you have noticed near Kruger Elevator, there's a parking lot there. It's got a lot of cars in it. Currently, you say you have 283 employees, and that's a big bunch for Logan County. So if you have any questions, you're like Judy now, you don't know a doggone thing about marijuana, except you can't spell it. So let's pay, Mr. Ash, let's go first to our sponsors and acknowledge them. Thank you very much. Right back live in the studios here, radio station WLCN 96.3 on your FM dial. Our guest this morning is a delightful young lady named Andrea Meister, and she's the facility director for this very, very unusual growing facility we have here north of town near Kruger Elevator called Cresco Labs. Now, if you can spell marijuana, we'll give you an A+ and get you an admission to the studios here. This young lady is a graduate of the University of Illinois, and I guarantee you when she took English 101 or Psychology 101, she hadn't a clue that she was going to end up in the marijuana business. And, so here we are. We're very pleased. We appreciate your taking your time, Andrea.
Absolutely.
This has been a mystery. This has been a mystery employer for Logan County. All we know is we go by there, and there are tons of cars there. We say, boy, they're busy. So now we're farming on tables. Is that an easy way to express basically what you're doing?
Pretty much, yeah. That's really exactly what we're doing. We have our growing media, and all of them are set on our tabletop, so that is our canopy space.
Now, do you use the whole plant when they turn it into a product?
So we're using most of the plant, I would say, but so any of like what we would consider like fan leaves, so there's no trichomes on those leaves, so they don't have any medicinal quality to them. I mean, I'm sure that if you tested them, they would probably have, you know, less than 0.03% THC, which is really then just considered hemp. But really just those large fan leaves, you know, that helps the plant just photosynthesize and create its own food and grow. But the stems and the large fan leaves, those are actually considered waste products, which we still have to track in our seed to sale system.
Do you?
Yep. So we actually have to weigh those waste bags, track it as waste, label it, and we have such a large facility that we are shredding that waste daily. So we have to shred that waste till it's unrecognizable and mix it with 50% other materials.
Other
it gets like
material,
composted.
like trash?
Yeah, like cardboard, soil, hay, any other like organic types of material. Yeah.
Okay.
Would it be wrong to say that we're this morning we're discussing agronomy 101?
Absolutely. This is indoor farming, and we're farming cash crops.
Yeah, you are. Well, good for you. And is the industry in its growth phase still?
It most definitely is. It's crazy to think. So I've been with Cresco Labs going on 6 years now. When I first got into the industry, to look back now, it's very humbling on how far we've come. Every day as this industry changes and matures, you know, we have to roll with the punches to keep up with it. So day to day at our facility, it's very fast paced, ever changing. I'm sure you could talk to any of our employees and like, oh yeah, it changes regularly, but you know, it changes for the better. We're becoming more efficient, we're becoming better, and we're like, our goal at Cresco is to professionalize the cannabis industry. It is an agricultural-based industry, but with the technology, precision, and cleanliness of a medical facility. Like our uniforms that we wear are surgical scrubs. Yeah.
The plants now, do you grow a certain kind of plant that's for the customers who suffer from arthritis list?
Absolutely. There are actually strains that we grow. So currently, we had a plan to grow 72 unique strains. We're getting back up to that plan. Right now, I think we're about at like 63 unique strains that we grow at our facility. And all of those strains are a different dominance. So there's sativa, you know, like that's what we call like our rise. So it's uplifting and energetic. There's our hybrid, which is kind of like what we would consider, you know, the middle of the road. You know, it's not super energetic and uplifting, but it doesn't, you know, make you like sleepy or anything like that. Then we have our Indica Dominance, and that's more of the, right, indica, they say in the couch, right? Like it just makes you kind of sleepy. It's more of like a body feel. So normally, it's not always true for everyone, but Indica dominant strains are going to be better for pain. There are specific strains that are better for arthritis, seizures, PTSD. There's a wide variety, you know, of, what would you say, I guess, conditions that
yes.
Cannabis really helps. And the great thing about cannabis use, I feel, is it's not one size fits all. What works for me isn't going to work for you. So like I really encourage anyone that's interested in our products or is curious about using them but maybe hasn't yet to visit a dispensary, to visit one of our Sunnyside dispensaries and talk to one of our customer care representatives. They are truly like a pharmacist of cannabis, and
really?
They're going, yeah, exactly. They're going to be able to talk with you and figure out your needs, even if it's not a medical condition you have, even if it's adult use and you just, you know, want to use it for every day to day. Like, they're going to be able to find something and make recommendations for what works for you, and they know the most and are very knowledgeable about all of our products.
Well, you know, you mentioned before we came on the air that your dad was one of 17 kids.
Yes, he was.
I bet his mom would have liked to have some.
I don't know about that. I don't know if Grandma Meister would have been too keen on it, but my dad's a fan.
Well, there's something to be said for that. I guess you could say that your end product is for the man or lady on the street, but not directly. You go through medical dispensation centers. Is that correct?
Yes, medical dispensaries. Yeah, so we are the cultivation center. So we grow the product, and at Lincoln, we take it all the way from clone, all the way through the growing cycle, harvest. We're drying it there. We are what we call bucking it off of the stem. So, with that stem, we don't use that. We just use the buds that are on there. Our wonderful harvest and processing team, they are grading that product. They are processing that product. It is getting third-party lab tested out of our facility. And then we do anywhere from machine trim. Some of it even gets a hand-touch final trim. And we now, just recently, earlier this year, launched our FloraCal brand, which is an ultra-premium brand. So that doesn't touch a machine. It is getting hand trimmed the entire time.
What does that do for the customer who buys it? I mean, what's the difference to the customer?
So really, those different, I guess, brands or segments where it ends up, to the customer, it can be anywhere from what is the end quality of product that you're getting?
Yeah.
So number one, it could be based off of maybe it's in our high supply SKU, which I told you earlier is our value brand for our more savvy customer. It's a little bit more cost effective, but there's not as much processing that goes into the high supply brand. So it's just going to get a machine trim and be packaged. So it's still quality cannabis at an affordable price, but we're not putting as much labor into it on the back end. So it might be a little bit leafier of a product. The potency might not be as high as our Cresco brand products. So it's really just about the way that it's handled and then really the look of it at the end. So some consumers don't mind that. There's a lot of consumers that have personally told me, I like the more the raw look where it's I don't want it hand trimmed. I like it a little bit more leafy. And some people don't like that. They want a fully manicured product.
Now, some of it is sold in pill form. Is that right?
Yeah, there are capsules. Yeah.
Okay. And some of it is just sold in the raw plant form.
Absolutely. Yep. So we have just our regular flower SKUs. We have shake. We're starting to get back making pre-rolls, but there's also tinctures. So tinctures can be anything to an oil drop that you put under your tongue. It can be a balm, a salve, a cream, all the way to capsules. Yep.
Is that right? Holy
exactly.
Friday.
Yeah. That's there's so many different ways that someone can consume cannabis or use cannabis, and that's why I'm people that are interested in it just need to do a little bit of research and get out there and really try it out for themselves, because it's not a one-size-fits-all, and there are products out there from the beginning consumer all the way to the connoisseur.
Now, the corn and soybean farmer, he measures his success on so many bushel per acre.
Yeah.
Is there a level of how you determine how successful you're growing at Cresco?
Absolutely. So I'm sure all of our cultivators out there, if they're listening, are they're probably laughing because
both of them. Pay attention out there, both of you.
Right? Because for them it's grams per square foot. That's what we're looking for.
Grams per square foot.
Yep, square foot of
That's pretty sophisticated.
Canopy. Yeah, because, out in the field, it's bushels per acre, right?
Sure, right.
But we're farming inside. Mm-hmm. So we are taking the square foot of our tabletop. So that's our canopy space. That is the space allotted for us to place those plants. So Shane, Paul, Shay, our wonderful team there, they are making sure that those rooms are placed appropriately, that they're spaced out, that environment is perfect to maximize that canopy square footage. And based on the weight of that plant at harvest, we can determine grams per square foot. So, right, I think every cultivator, whether they want to say it or not, is secretly wanting to beat someone else. Oh, my grams per square foot's through the roof. And certain strains are going to yield more than others. But it's really perfecting it, because it's not always about just having the most grams per square foot if the quality's not there. So for us, it's that fine balance between that yield has to be there, but the quality and consistency, because that's what we're here to do, is deliver a consistent product to our consumers.
This is a highly sophisticated operation we're discussing this morning.
Oh, absolutely. It really is a science and an art. It's an art form. Kudos to all of the gardeners, processors, growers, everyone at our facility. Like, everything they do every day is what makes this possible.
It's just amazing to me. You know, when I was your age, and Bill, I can include you in this too. When we were your age, that was naughty. You didn't even talk about it. Well, Jim, when you were a kid, you didn't talk about it. Well, maybe you did. I don't know.
They did, just not publicly about it. They did it in their basements and stuff, you know.
All right, now,
Let's talk about the money that comes from it. The money that accrues to the community, the greater Lincoln area. Lincoln,
payrolls
Logan
to start
County.
with is
What
pretty
are we
big.
talking about?
Well, honestly, I feel like if you're talking about like how Cresco Labs in Lincoln impacts the community, I mean, so a big way that we impact the community, not only providing a ton of jobs, so roughly 60% of the employees at our facility live in Lincoln. The other 40% come from surrounding communities such as like Bloomington Normal, Springfield, Peoria, Champaign, and then, you know, other small farming communities.
And they spend gas money and so forth here when they get to Lincoln.
Yeah.
You know, depending on what the gas price is at the pump. But generally speaking, you can assume that these employees who are gravitating from surrounding communities are going to spend a few bucks in town.
Absolutely. You know, they're fueling up their cars there. They're eating lunch in the community. And when we do like facility-wide lunches, you know, and things like that, you know, we are using local food trucks from the area, local restaurants, and wherever we can, we're employing local contractors as well. So for like HVAC, electrical, plumbing. So we really try to utilize the local community as much as we can. So not only just the jobs that Cresco's hiring at the facility, but just the contractors that we work and what we bring to the community, as well as, you know, something really big that we like to do at Cresco is like we really put a big emphasis on volunteer work. We actually offer 36 hours of volunteer time to our employees to encourage them to get out in the community and help.
Well, so that's nice.
Yeah, so I mean, in the past few years and just this year, I mean, we've helped at the Logan County Humane Society. We've donated to the Special Olympics. We've done, there is, now I can't think of it, the name of the company, but we actually purchased and donated the labor to build beds. It's Sleep in Heavenly Peace is the name of the bed build company. So we actually raised money to buy lumber and purchase 30 beds, and then our staff went and put them together and donated those beds for, you know, kids in the community that sleep on the floor. Unfortunately, like not just here, but throughout the state of Illinois, it's sad that there's a lot of people that are less fortunate. So there's every place that we can volunteer, that we can help. We actually we've nominated, I guess it's like our volunteer champions are what we call them. So one of our employees at the facility for years started the Easter Bunny of Logan County. So this past year we put together, donated, and delivered Easter baskets for children in Logan County. And then the past 2 years, we're doing it this year as well, we've sponsored the Logan County Fair. So and we have some other things and opportunities that are coming up later this year. I think it's like the Hot Air Balloon Festival and things like that. So we're always looking for ways to sponsor, volunteer, and help in the community and just really give back.
You make a great spokesman for Cresco.
Oh, well, thank you.
Really, well, seriously, not only the basic payroll, which is significant, but you did enumerate a number of ways in which your firm is involved in the good things in the community.
Yeah.
So take our hat off to Cresco, ladies and gentlemen. 648-5510. Now, this is a very nice young lady, and she's obviously very knowledgeable. She did more than just do athletics at the University of Illinois, I'll tell you that. You must have been a great student. We appreciate your taking your time. 648-5510. That's kind of a mystery employer out there. You drive by and you see all those cars, and boy, what are they doing over there? So now this is your chance to find out. From the time you plant a seedling until it's harvest, whatever that is, it's how long, ma'am?
So on average, it's roughly like 120 days from what we call seed to sale. So as I said earlier, we're actually using clones, but from the time that clone is cut and plugged into that media, the time it roots, transplant, goes through veg, goes through our flowering cycle, harvested, dried, bulk processed, tested, sent to our Joliet facility for any final packaging and sale. It's roughly about 120 days.
Now, how is this sealed for distribution to medical dispensation centers like the one over my son's associated with in Canton? How are they packaged to arrive there in your various distribution centers?
Oh, there's tons of different types of packaging.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So like any of like our edibles, like Mindy's gummies and stuff like that, they're either in a childproof tin, like, or a pouch. Same thing with some of our other products, like I was talking earlier, our high supply popcorn, which is smaller, lower buds of the plant. Those are in, childproof plastic canisters that are tampered, labeled. Same thing with our premium products too, like our Florical and Cresco. They are in 1/8 jars that they have an induction seal to hold moisture and humidity so that the product doesn't dry out, and they have a cap on them, and everything has to be tampered, sealed, and labeled per the rules and regulations of IDFPR and the Department of Ag.
The nice thing about having the job Bill and I have is you get surprised all the time. You can't imagine how complex things that might seem simple to you are.
Oh, I learn something new every day. Like, I'm never going to say that I know it all, because I sure don't. And I think the day that a person decides that they know it all and stop learning, they become a fool. So there's something new that I learn every day.
It's just amazing.
Well, this has been a learning experience for us. Mrs. Kotz suggested that we ask you what types of people do we have at this facility? That would that's a broad gamut of answers there. If I were, it's funny, don't laugh at me now. If I were to apply for a job, came off the street at 50 years of age, where would I likely be assigned?
Oh, well, so you're not really assigned. It's really, so if you go to CrescoLabs.com and go to our careers tab, you can search all of the states that we operate in and any department that interests you. Mm-hmm. So you might be really interested in cultivation. And, a lot of our entry-level jobs are our basic agent positions. So we have cultivation agents, harvesting agents, processing agents, extraction, like lab techs. We have logistic, like drivers, like people that are going to deliver those orders to dispensaries. We have material handlers. So there's a wide variety of jobs at the facility, and really it depends on what you're interested in and where your skill set lies.
Are certifications needed to just go into Mr. and Mrs. Joe Smith doing an average job? Do I have to be certified? No.
So most of our jobs at the facility, like I said, because we are a cultivation center, they're more of the frontline jobs, like entry-level positions. Mm-hmm. But there are no specific certification or education that is required. However, it's always great to, people that are wanting to work with plants have a background in horticulture, agriculture, and really some type of either business management or things like that. We also have they're not as large of departments at the facility, but we have supporting roles too, such as compliance, security, quality, and safety as well.
Oh, sure. I suppose you have to have all of that.
Yep, absolutely we do.
Yeah.
Now, security is of prime importance out there, pretty obviously. I discovered that myself.
When they threw you out, you mean?
They were nice about it.
So how does one apply for employment at Cresco?
Yeah, so to apply for employment, as you said, security, it's not like a normal place, right? I think that, and...
You just don't knock on the door and go in.
Exactly. I was and when I say normal place, maybe it's more common now since everything is done online. However, for us, you can't just walk up to the gate and be expect to be let in, because you actually have to have a Department of Ag badge to be at our facility. If not, then you have to give us at least 24 hours notice, and we have to put you on a state approved list to visit the facility. So the best way to apply for jobs is to go to crescolabs.com and go to our careers tab and see what's available, because like I said, it's not just Lincoln, it's not just Kankakee or Joliet, it's not just Illinois. We operate in 9 other states as well.
Oh, you
and
do.
there's a variety of different departments. So really it's, what you're interested in.
Does it require, for more, like when you get into the managerial end, a horticulture type degree?
Not necessarily. It depends on what department that you're in. And some managers that I know that are in place right now, they don't have a horticulture agricultural degree. They actually started as an entry-level employee and gained their knowledge and experience right on the job and really work their way up within the company. So that's something that's great too, because we do have such, this growth, this momentum that's going.
Yes.
It was a really great place to get in on the ground floor and really work your way up. So not everyone that is in a management position has a 4-year degree.
Okay.
Ms. Meister, are you able to speak to the average pay at Cresco?
So, it's difficult because we have a wide range of jobs. Like I said, from anywhere from entry-level jobs all the way to senior directors, vice presidents across the network. So I don't feel comfortable just putting, an average pay to that, because it's such a wide scale that I wouldn't even be able to put an average. It would be so skewed between the entry-level position all the way up.
Suffice it to say that I think, Judith, that I'm hearing that the average pay is pretty doggone decent out there as opposed to any street job out there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you too. What is the number of employees out here?
$283. 283.
Yep, 283 employees currently just at Lincoln. Our Joliet facility.
Boy, that's a lot of people.
I could be wrong, so forgive me, Brian and Jen, if I'm misspeaking for your facility. But I think that Joliet currently is around like 250 employees, and then our Kankakee facility is around like 75.
So this is a big one.
Yeah, and that's just Illinois, and like that doesn't even cover everyone that's in our corporate office in Chicago.
Would your salary levels be commensurate with others in the community of Lincoln, Logan County?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, our benefits and comp team, continue to watch the market. We are very competitive with other manufacturing facilities and other cannabis companies that are in the market.
Now, we're not talking about just going out there and having a joint for joy's sake. The product that you're producing at Cresco Labs is used medicinally for a number of things, and I'm sure the medical field has something to say about that. Is there any particular type of affliction, that's word of bad use of words, but any medical condition that you would say that cannabis helps directly?
There's a variety of them. I cannot remember. I think we're in like the 40s, like 40-something approved conditions in the state of Illinois, specifically if you would like to get your medical card. However, since it's adult use, you don't have to get your medical card. But yeah, there's a variety of, like anywhere from seizures to PTSD, arthritis, or just your everyday consumer that just, might just have anxiety and doesn't really want to get a medical card. But
well, they all say beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. So I guess we can really say that insofar as medical use, I guess beauty's in the eyes of how it affects you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all. What's going to work for me isn't going to work for you. So it really is something that like you have to kind of go out there and explore. And I think that not just Cresco Labs in general, but the cannabis industry as a whole, we have a lot of great resources out there to help educate people and find something that works right for them. Because maybe it is an edible, maybe it's a tincture or capsule, maybe it is someone who would like to, vape or use a concentrate or use flower. It's going to be different for everyone.
Is that right? So if you and I both took the same pill or what have you, it would affect us differently?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, our genetic makeup is not the same. Something, a condition that I have might not be a condition that you have. It really is. It's medicine. Like I said, if you look at it like pharmaceuticals, like there might be some type of over-the-counter medication that affects me negatively that doesn't affect you that way. So it's like there's going to be like something that's specific for everyone. There's going to be things that work better for me or that I enjoy more or work better for my specific condition.
I tell you, I think this is just mind-boggling. Really.
So we're not talking about grazing pot today. We're talking about raising a product that enhances the quality of people's lives.
Absolutely.
Am I correct in that?
Are there children who take it? Are there some afflictions that kids have?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like, specifically, none that I know directly, but, like, I hear stories every day, and a lot of them come right from the employees at work. Like,
sure.
Everyone has a unique story of why they chose the cannabis industry and why they wanted to get into it. And for me, I mean, like, they're very passionate stories, and it's just fascinating. And it could be anywhere from, my daughter suffered from seizure for years, and it started when she was 2 years old. So, they might have at the time had to go to a different state to get the medicine that their daughter needed because they were, 2 years old. So that, like you said, it was seen as naughty or like taboo here. But now, ever since, we became a medical state, the industry has really started to open up into multiple states and seeing that, like you said, this is benefiting people's lives. And it's not just adults. It can be children. It's a natural plant that would grow in nature. It's a natural medicine that the earth has given us, and we are just cultivating it and making sure that we're regulating, we're making sure that it's safe and consistent so the consumer knows exactly what they're getting. They're not just getting something off the street or not knowing where it's coming from. They can be confident and feel safe in the products that they're getting from Cresco.
Since the attitude toward it and the legalization, has the outlook of people on the industry itself changed, moderated?
Well, I guess what exactly do you mean, like the outlook of people?
I mean, like when...
Yeah, can a man have a baby?
Oh, shh. We're not getting into that. That is disgusting.
I just thought I'd throw that in and bust her up. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Go ahead.
Are you at full level of employment at this point in time, or would there be openings available at Cresco?
Currently, we have a few openings. Not many right now at the time, but I do believe that we have a couple of driver positions open and some maintenance positions open at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are the positions filled pretty quickly when they're vacated?
It kind of depends. It really does. It depends on what department that they're in. Sometimes it's location based, but most of our positions actually do get filled rather quickly.
Well, with appreciation to Jeff Short, Melanie Kotz, and our guest this morning, Andrea Meister, we thank you very much for spending your time with us and giving us your knowledge of Cresco Labs. Very important employer out here. You've just lost out. Thank you very much, Andrea Meister.